of an enforceable contract to convey the building could not occur until after the lease term expired. I mean, no, the landlord can sell whenever he wants, so I'm going to scratch that out. The landlord, because the landlord's email response did not contain a sufficient signature under the statute of frauds. Well, I'm going to cross that out because I know there's exceptions to statute of frauds. C, the tenant, because the email messages constitute an insufficient attornment of a lease. I have no idea what this is. D, the tenant, because the email messages constitute a sufficient memorandum under the statute of frauds. Well, I feel that I'm being tested on one of these, the C or D.
Bianca, what do I say when you don't know the terms of art? What do you do with that answer?
Oh, scratch it out. Strike it out.
Scratch it out. Scratch it out. Believe in the method. Strike it out.
Okay.
Now, when she read this, she have only D left. If she don't have time, move on. Circle it, move on. If she have time, then she should read the facts to make sure. Sometimes you might undo A and B. Okay, now read the facts.
A landlord leased a building to a tenant for a term of 6 years. The lease complied with the statute of frauds and was not recorded. Yes, not recorded. During the lease term, the tenant sent an email to the landlord that stated, and then I have the, so I'm going to put a little box around this. I hereby offer to purchase for $250,000 the building that I am occupying under a 6-year lease with you. The tenant's name was placed below the words signed on the message. In response, the landlord emailed the tenant, "That's fine, we'll close in 60 days. The landlord's name was placed below the words signed on the reply message. 60 days later, the landlord refused to tender the deed to the building when the tenant tendered the $250,000 purchase price. The tenant has sued for specific performance. Who will likely prevail?" I'm going to read D. The tenant, because the email messages constitutes a sufficient memorandum under the statute of frauds. I like that. So I'm going to just circle D and go.
Stop. If D marinate with the facts, don't read A, B, and C. If it doesn't marinate with the fact, then undo A, B, and C. B say, it's marinated, I circled it, I'm going. Now, a lot of students say, well, David, your method make me behind. Well, Courtney was behind 10 minutes. Courtney was behind 7 minutes. Courtney was behind 5 minutes. And now Courtney have a lot of time left. It works.
Yeah.
Why is your guy behind? Because your guy have not really learned with me enough, and your wife still resisting David, like Courtney said. You fight David. Okay? You're fighting with David. Don't fight with David. Go with his flow. Now, there are so many things why B has get this right, because B have been Zoom with me the most. Okay? Look what happened to B. Look at the answer. Even before he read the facts.
D, correct. The statute of frauds requires a contract for sale of land to identify the parties, contain a description of the land, evidence, and intent to buy and sell, recite usually a price term, and be signed by the party against whom enforcement is sought. The email messages here fulfill those requirements. Courts are liberal regarding the nature of a signature. It need only reflect an intent to authenticate the writing. Both the tenant's and the landlord's name were placed below the word signed, which adequately reflect their desire to be bound.
The why is Tammy able to strike A, B, and C? Because I've been teaching her, look at the sentence. Well, first, look at the call the questions, where are you? So she's saying we are at landlord and tenant. She's saying we are at real property. And mainly, she knows this is specific performance. She knows that it is specific performance. So she go on to that. Okay. And then I love it when she say, well, there, if I don't know if you guys know, let's see. She say, because the formation enforced contract covered building could not occur until after the lease expired. Why did you strike A again, B?
Because the landlord can sell. He can sell whenever he wants. I mean, even if there's a lease, right?
Okay. She have a reason why she strike it. And then B, why you strike B?
B, the email response did not contain sufficient statute of frauds. There's exceptions to statute of frauds.
That's a big one. This is one I teach B. Why is B is not good? Landlord, because the landlord email response did not contain a sufficient signature under the statute of frauds. Specific performance is one of the exceptions of statute of frauds. Successful performance, you doesn't sue under the contract. You sue under equity. So if you sue in equity, it's another way. You can sue for specific performance under statute of fraud. But you can also sue a specific performance because you don't have a contract. You have a reliance. You remember the tenant move in, the tenant fix the buyer, fix the road, the buyer do something to it, the buyer payment. It is an exception of statute of fraud, and B exactly got it right. She strike B. C, the tenant, because the email message constitute insufficient annulment of the lease, and B strike it, and she forgot. When you don't know the terms of art, we work so hard. All we work is day in and day out, and by the time we go to the bar, we don't recognize what the daggone word is, strike it.
I like that.
And look at how many minutes that Bianca can get correct, right? And not only that, strike with confidence. Incredible. Anybody have any questions? No question. All right. I am now gonna go and take off the live. I did something to it.